Hi, I'm Femi Abebefe.
And I'm Emily Pedersen. Welcome to Western Window, a show made by and for the students at Western Washington University.
This time, we'll look at the many faces of education here at Western. We'll follow students involved in an innovative program called Compass to Campus. We'll find out more about a unique opportunity for students to bring a little adventure to their learning. We'll talk to some students who have traveled 7,000 miles to come to Western and more.
So stay with us as we explore our world through Western Window.
First day?
Alright, sophomore.
Big day.
Move it.
Okay, you need a Western card?
It is Western, and we are here on move-in day with Gary and Terry, the parents of a freshman moving in for the first time. Is it emotional? Are you guys nervous?
I'm nervous more than anything.
Are you guys nervous?
She's our youngest of three, so we're used to this.
Oh, you've done this before?
Not here, but yes.
We are with Dane, his grandpa, grandma, and mother. Are you guys emotional about leaving him for the first time?
No.
You don't want him?
Germany for a year.
Where are you guys from?
Olympia, Washington.
Olympia. And you're a freshman, first time leaving home?
Yep,
Are you nervous?
a little bit.
Are you nervous, Dad?
A little bit, yeah.
Todd, you actually go here,
Yes, I do.
and your little sister is coming to campus.
Yeah.
Are you excited, or are you a little nervous for her to find out what you do around here?
I'm a little nervous for her, but I think she's gonna really love it.
Do you know your roommate yet?
I've never met her, but I know who she is. Like, we talk on Facebook.
Do you know what to expect coming in?
No.
Are you a little nervous about leaving them?
No. I've already been away from home
been
for a
into
while,
Europe
so
4
I'm just
different times
excited.
and-
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm just excited to be here. Yeah.
Now you guys are what, touring campus, or?
Yeah, we had the 5 siblings come and move her stuff in yesterday. So the little dorm room was packed with.
Older or younger?
Younger.
Oh, so you're the first one to leave?
Yep.
Were you considering other schools?
Not really. I've always wanted to go to Western, so
Viking pride.
yeah.
There we go.
What dorm are you staying in?
Nash.
He will do fine.
He will do fine.
And I taught him how to do laundry, so he's good to go now.
What are you most excited about?
Not being able to do chores and babysitting and driving my siblings everywhere.
Classes, really. I'm excited to get into classes a lot.
What's your major?
I don't really know yet. I was aiming for a pre-law degree, but
Oh, wow. An ambitious one. Germany and then pre-law.
Meeting new people and just a whole fresh start and getting away from high school. And
Have you met your roommate yet?
I haven't. No, she hasn't moved in yet, so
Are you nervous?
a little bit, but I'm excited.
What kind of advice did you guys give her about starting college?
Haven't really started the whole lecture yet, but get involved. Yes, it's still to come. She hasn't heard it all yet, but get involved, with different activities and be open and meet lots of people and go to class.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's going to be an emotional goodbye.
For sure, we've already cried this morning.
We've already been crying.
Oh, you guys drove up this morning?
Yes.
But she has older brother here, so.
Yes, so that'll help
I
a lot.
won't be crying, so you guys.
Well, she's got a good support system up here, right?
She does.
Well, it gets easier. We've all done it. And when's the next time you'll see her? Thanksgiving, maybe?
No, actually, she'll be home in 2 weeks. She's coming home. She's coming home to go to a concert. Yeah. So yeah. So we'll see her in 2 weeks.
Well, you'll have so much fun here, and we'll take good care of her. Everyone on campus. You guys have fun today too.
Every year, Western's Compass to Campus program brings 5th grade students from traditionally underrepresented and disadvantaged backgrounds in Whatcom and Skagit counties to be mentored by university students. These students get to taste a little bit of the college experience and imagine a future for themselves that includes a college education.
Compass to Campus began in 2009, about 6-7 months after Bruce and I got here to Western. The HEC board created a legislative bill to make us the pilot for the state, in which that bill was passed in April of 2009, and we were mounted and ready to go by September.
All of these people are here today to encourage you to do well in school, to think about your future, and to help make sure you have the opportunity to include higher education in your future.
What we do is we focus on Title I schools, which are low income, where students are heavily at risk. And we asked each superintendent to choose their most at-risk school and the school that they would like us to focus on. So in each of the 11 districts, we have the most at-risk school, and the schools are all Title I schools. And our whole program is based on the premise that we are trying to encourage them to stay in school, to graduate, and then to consider going on to college. Most often, they are students that are coming from lower income families, first-generation students, diverse students, students that typically don't do very well in school are the ones that we are trying to focus our work on. And we're going into those classrooms where we're giving the teachers in those classrooms help by encouraging those kids through relationship development with college students. What better way to get kids to engage in school than to be with a student who is engaged in their education. And so they find our students to be wonderful. They love them. We tease and call our Western mentors that are involved in our program rock stars, because our little kids really see them as that. We begin at 5th grade, and we start by the kickoff, which most people have seen at Western, which is the tour in October, where we bring 800 to 900 5th graders to the campus. And that's their kickoff. But the major part of the program is that we go back to their schools and we follow them from 5th grade through 12th grade. And right now we're working in over 158 classrooms.
So we are going to give some very special diplomas to these students to encourage you all to think about what it might feel like one day to be graduating from Western. So this is what they look like when they graduate.
Not only is it helping the little kids that we're working with as we work them from 5th grade through 12th grade, but our Western students and our college students get so much out of it. They learn leadership skills, they learn how to communicate with each other, and they learn the power of leadership as they're out there mentoring kids and being role models for them. And that in itself is so inspiring to see. It's an amazing way to realize that we're changing the future. We're creating opportunities for kids that never felt they had them before.
And when somebody says, I think that you should think about going on to college, you say, yeah! I was a teacher for 25 years, and one of the things that I really saw as a teacher, I was often in some very impoverished areas when I was teaching. And I saw that what I felt was needed by a lot of the kids was the encouragement that they could do it. And I found that a lot of kids that were very, very negative about school, if you could turn their attitude around, if you could show them and help them and make them feel like they could do the work, they could do it. They did it for you, and they ended up, being successful in school. Boy, you can sure make a difference in a child's life if you have a relationship with them. And that's what the point of the Compass to Campus program is. Develop a relationship with a child and watch what happens. And it's an amazing thing. How many of you are thinking about going on to college? Oh, I'm so excited. Look at the hands up. Come on, let's give you a hand.
The Adventure Learning Grant is a $15,000 stipend awarded annually to 3 Fairhaven students. It allows them to travel abroad and enrich their education through intellectual risks, challenges, and adventures. The unusual grant allows students to decide what they want to do, where and when they want to do it, and what it all means.
My name is Catherine Anderson. I'm a faculty member at Fairhaven College, and I have the distinct pleasure of being the coordinator for the Adventure Learning Grant. So 10 years ago, one of my former colleagues had an estate that he wanted to give to the college, but he wanted to donate it in a way that would keep the spirit of adventure and experimentation and innovation at Fairhaven College alive. The Adventure Learning Grant doesn't expect the student to produce anything. And this is one of the hardest things about the grant to describe. The student is expected to develop a plan, to describe a passionate interest. The intention was to give them a chance to follow their passions, but first they have to be able to articulate that passion and to do so in a way that engages other cultures. Well, one of the criteria for selection is the extent to which the student's proposal will challenge them. So going to Mount Vernon probably wouldn't challenge somebody as much as going to Madagascar. There are no rules exactly, but they have to be outside of the country, outside the U.S. or the culture. If they're an international student who comes from Jamaica, they can't develop a proposal to go to Jamaica either. They need to be outside of the culture with which they're familiar.
In my proposal, I proposed to go to Nepal and India. When I initially went to Catherine with my ideas for the grant, I had some very abstract ideas about art and the creative process and something about life and death and whatever, and all those really great subjects to talk about, but need more of a focus.
For my grant, I ended up going to 3 different countries. I went to Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Uruguay. And in my original proposal, I was looking at going to Guatemala and Lebanon to get kind of a contrast. I was looking at the vagina monologues in general and women's experiences and wanted to have a contrast.
Some people ask why the Adventure Grant is designed the way it is, to give $15,000, an opportunity and a responsibility to one student for 10 months. I think there's a good argument for having one opportunity, 10 months, and basically to have the resources to do so. They can't live lavishly. They have to figure out a way to pursue their interest in a very modest standard of living.
But it's something that, while it's scary, it's not all scary, and while it's hard and challenging, it's an amazing chance to kind of pursue your interests in such a independent yet kind of integrated way.
Yeah, tell me, because I haven't heard you say fun.
Oh, it was a ton of fun. It was a ton of fun. It was probably like the most amazing experience of my life.
Since 1979, the government of Iran has denied young people of the country's largest non-Muslim religious minority, the Bahá'í community, access to higher education.
Many of those families have fled the country to provide opportunities for their children.
And some of those students have come to Western Washington University for the education that will give them a chance at a better life.
It is a terrible tragedy that so many millions of people around the world are unable to exercise their basic right to education. However, in most cases, it is not a matter of will, but of resources. In the developing world especially, many governments simply do not have the infrastructure to provide an adequate education to their youth. But it is an entirely different matter when a government willfully seeks to deprive its people, or a group of its people, from receiving this basic human right to knowledge. Sadly, this is the case in present-day Iran.
So I'm a member of the Baha'i community. It's an international community, about 6 million people, every country on earth. In Iran, actually, it's just a minority of the global Baha'i community that lives there. So, I'm naturally interested in the human rights of all people, including the Baha'is, of which I have direct contact in Iran.
Baha'is believe in all the prophets that have come because there's only one God, and He sends His prophets to mankind on a regular basis. And Baha'u'llah is simply the latest of a whole line of prophets that go back to Buddha and Abraham and Christ and Muhammad. And there will also be some more coming in the future.
The oneness of humanity is a fundamental teaching of the Baha'i faith. That's the reason we're persecuted in Iran, because the government and the ruling clergy in that country do not accept that fundamental concept. I also teach many Iranian Baha'i students on campus and advise them. Some of them actually are here because they had to flee Iran because they had no access to education or other life opportunities there. Denial of education is a very effective way to try and block the progress of a community and to ostracize it and to limit its opportunities. Similar things happened before the Holocaust, before the Armenian genocide, so this is also another one of the many indicators of sort of pre-genocidal movements within a population is denial of education.
And so what the families and the Baha'i started doing is they started gathering in individual homes. And their parents would be, if there was a teacher who taught English, they would be the English professor, and their science and chemistry and physics. So they started these little groups in their homes. And and of course it grew, and it was very informal, but many universities in the United States and Europe, by the way, this is all over the world, have acknowledged and recognized their education. So it started this way. And relatively recently, in the last within the last couple of years, the government went into the homes of where those students were being taught, and they confiscated their computers and they broke them and their books and they put in prison some of their teachers. And so this is what is happening. This is what we want to attract attention to, what is happening. And the Baha'i Institute of Higher Education, BIHE, was developed to help those students to finish their education, come to the United States or Europe or any other country in Europe or elsewhere to finish their education.
Well, I cannot say that it's safe because it's not. But anyway, yeah, there is a lot of Baha'is that they are living there, but many of Baha'is are living around the world, and they actually, I can say most of them, they just left because they wanted to have education, have higher education, and they wanted to, reach their goal.
Young Baha'is cannot go to school, cannot go to college, and in the elementary classes they are being persecuted even as children.
I have two cousins that are 1 year older than me, so they weren't allowed to graduate high school. When they took their culminating exams, they also had to take exams to get into university. It's kind of different than the U.S. Their scores were dropped just because they were Baha'is. But that doesn't mean that the government won't take them into the military with drafts and things like that. So they have to serve those civil purposes, but they can't graduate school.
Unless you convert to Islam, you can go to the university, but other than that, there's no choice.
It's unfortunate because then they can't get jobs and they can't do anything with their lives, really.
And I said, no, I wouldn't convert to Islam because this is what I believe, what I love, but I respect Islam. But they said no, so that was the main reason that my parents chose to flee from Iran.
Well, it's given me an opportunity to go to school and pursue an education, which is one of the main teachings of the faith is universal education of the Baha'i faith. So I think that Western is a great place for that, and it's a very open-minded campus.
Right now I'm in master in education, becoming a teacher so I can educate other people. I love being here. I have my freedom, and I'm getting closer to my purpose of being educated.
We've been doing a number of awareness-raising things. We had 2 screenings of a documentary film on the denial of education, in which I spoke and some of the Baha'i students spoke also about their experiences in Iran. And we had another talk given in the Bellingham City Council chambers on the topic. The vast majority of Iranian people want the human rights of all Iranians recognized. So in that sense, the government does not represent Iranian citizens.
We are one in this, and we should be brothers and sisters and take care of each other, not fight against each other, because that's not going to get us anywhere. But if we work together, then we will be working towards the happiness and the peace of all mankind, not just us against you, but everybody, the whole world will be working together. So we have hope. Baha'is are very optimistic that there will come a day when peace will be with us. No matter what our nationality, no matter what, we're going to be one world, we're going to be together.
We're working on a Calder textile, just trying to give it a new home instead of the old frames that it had before.
Alexander Calder designed these. They were designed as to be manufactured by hand in Nicaragua in the mid-1970s to provide employment for Nicaraguans displaced by the earthquake. Calder himself did not do it, he just did the designs.
So how many tapestries are there being worked on?
There are 13. The only full set of the Calder designs that I know of.
One of the things about these particular ones that also spoke to me was that they were created to be a part of a fundraising program for the victims of the huge Nicaraguan earthquake in 1972. And this is something totally different that I've never ever worked on.
When I found out this project was going to be happening, I jumped at the chance to enroll in the workshop. So I get to learn something new about textile conservation, and I really like the team effort that's happening and how we all have different jobs to do, and then some things take more than one person. And we're accomplishing this all, sustaining the textile without harming it and keeping it from deteriorating further.
The worst damage is the fading. The next worst damage was the staple marks, which in some cases did break fiber. So they get what's called couching, which is a technique not unlike quilting, although it has quite a bit more thinking involved in it. Where stitches are put, how they're spaced, how they're structured to provide support for the textiles so that they're basically not carrying their own weight. About 4 years ago, I saw these pieces, and the south lobby of PAC of the concert hall is rarely open. People have been on campus for 10 years, they've never seen these. In theory, I mean, if these are protected from light, they should be there in 100 years. So this has been an adventure, shall we say. I think everybody here has been completely remarkable and skilled at what they're doing. And fast, too. It's a lot of fun. So we've been making great progress on this.
Choke cookie on.
That wraps up this episode of Western Window.
Be sure to tune in next time to find out more about the world at and around Western Washington University.